The great thing about using closures is that you don't necessarily actually have to define the types and so on. You just literally just have to use them. That's the whole point of closures, is to make it as clear and as concise and as short as possible. So here we have an example of the extreme of writing closures and how you really just don't have to do it this way. So we have a collection of fruits: apples, oranges, pears, cherries, grapes and bananas. And we're just using a for in loop here to loop through, to iterate through all of the fruits and just printing out fruit as we go along. Now the next one is iterating through the fruits as an enumeration here. So it means that every single item here, as you can see, is a enumerated sequence that is of strings. So we get then the element and we get the offset as well. And then the final way is using a high order function on the fruits. And here, every single item that it iterates through, it provides the element there. This generics we're going to get to later. But it's a string basically, and when we can print out the string, and we're being incredibly explicit here, apart from this item because I can't be bothered copying that out, but we can do it just for the sake of doing it as well, and this will work perfectly fine. And we run it again, and this is being incredibly explicit in everything you do, very imperative. It's basically just overkill in what you're doing, right? Because you're writing too much code. And that's the whole point of being able to infer type from closure context, all right? So if we run this, if we write this again, and we then just say that we want to filter over this once again and press enter, we can just say here, nice and simple, fruits.filter, and when we have the individual fruits here, and then when we say here print fruits, oh, sorry, we didn't want filter, my mistake. That when we just do for each over that, you can see that we can just nice and easily infer. It already infers the type here of fruit, and we don't actually have to define the type. We don't have to define the return type. This is the whole point of writing closures in this form, the anonymous closures, is to reduce down the amount of code that we actually need to write. Okay, so I wanted to take away from this is the fact that if you want to write a function and be incredibly explicit about what the parameters are or what the arguments are, what the return type is, etc., etc., then we'll just say filter fruits, or we'll just say print fruits. And this then is going to take then a fruit, and it's going to be then of string and so on. And then inside of here, it's going to do nothing more than just print the fruit out. And if we come down and say fruits dot for each, and then print fruits here, this will work perfectly fine as well, because we've been super explicit about writing our function. But we just don't need to do that. This is just really, it's just not necessary. You could yeah, unless the function that you're writing is super complex and you want to pass it around a lot, then you would do it this way. But if it's just going to be all in line, then this is really not necessary. You can put the closure nice and easy like this, and it's a lot more declarative. People can read it and see, okay, it's doing all of this stuff. So this is how you can use closures and how you can infer the type from closures. And as you can see, that if we want to put the type annotation on there, if we just do it from here and we run it again, you can see you can't do this. You've got to wrap it in the brackets to be explicit in this manner. Now, if we wanted to use another high order function, which would then sort by, sorry, we can come here and you can see that we've got, we'll just say left, whoops, we'll say left and right, and then here we'll just say left is more than right. This, we need to change this as here. This is, we can have multiple parameters here separated by comma. We don't have to have the brackets, all right? But if we wanted to start adding then the actual type annotation to it, this is where we're going to have to start using using the brackets as well. All right, because if you're going to be explicit, you've got to be explicit is basically what's happening here. All right, so yeah, I hope you've got something out of this. I just wanted to show you that really when you're writing closures, you should try and not add the type annotations to it, because it's supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be like that. Now, if you are using generic types, generics in it, this is something that's going to come later, and you need to help the compiler to infer the type. This is when you're going to need to use type annotation, because it can be sometimes that the closure or the compiler cannot work out what type you want, and that's why you need to understand that there are times and places where you need to use type annotation. But if it's already explicit, just try not to use type annotation, but try and give your variables like this. We are iterating over the fruits, so every single item is going to be a fruit, and we're using the variable name correctly. With that said, I hope you've got something out of this one video. Yeah, if you have, then please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and do all of the other social media things as well. And if you do have any comments, feedback, concerns, questions, or anything like that, let's start a conversation in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.